Imagine if one small decision at a wedding could destroy an entire civilization. Not a king declaring war, not an invading army, just one golden apple. It sounds impossible, yet according to one of history's greatest legends, that's exactly how the Trojan War began. For over 3,000 years, people have debated whether this famous conflict was myth, history, or something in between. So, what really started the Trojan War? The answer is far more complicated than a stolen queen, and it begins long before the first sword was ever drawn. Everything started with a celebration. The gods gathered for the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, the parents of the future warrior Achilles. Every important god was invited, except one. Eris, the goddess of discord, was deliberately left out because everyone feared she would cause trouble. Furious at being excluded, she arrived anyway and threw a beautiful golden apple into the crowd. Written on it were 4 simple words: "For the fairest." Immediately, 3 powerful goddesses claimed the prize. Hera, queen of the gods; Athena, goddess of wisdom and war; and Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. None of them would back down, and even Zeus refused to choose between them. Instead, he ordered that the decision be made by a young prince living far away from Mount Olympus, a Trojan prince named Paris. Paris had no idea that one choice would change history forever. As he watched the 3 goddesses appear before him, each secretly tried to win his decision. Hera promised him power and the greatest kingdom on earth. Athena offered unmatched wisdom and victory in every battle. Aphrodite made a different promise. She offered him the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris accepted Aphrodite's gift. That beautiful woman was Helen, queen of Sparta. There was only one problem. Helen was already married to King Menelaus. According to the legend, Paris traveled to Sparta as a guest. But instead of returning home alone, he sailed back to Troy with Helen. Some ancient writers claim she willingly left with him. Others believed she was kidnapped. Whatever truly happened, the result was the same. Greece considered it an unforgivable insult. Menelaus demanded Helen's return, but Troy refused. He then called upon an old oath that many Greek kings had sworn years earlier. Before Helen married, every prince who hoped to marry her had promised to protect her future husband if anyone ever tried to take her away. Suddenly, kingdoms from across Greece united behind Menelaus. Thousands of warriors answered the call, including Odysseus, Ajax, Nestor, and the greatest fighter of them all, Achilles. Soon, a massive fleet crossed the Aegean Sea toward the mighty city of Troy. But Troy was no ordinary city. Protected by enormous stone walls, it stood as one of the richest trading centers in the ancient world. Its defenses were so impressive that the Greeks couldn't simply storm the city. Instead, what many expected to be a quick rescue mission turned into a brutal siege that lasted 10 long years. During those years, countless heroes earned legendary reputations. Achilles became almost unstoppable in battle. Hector, Prince of Troy, defended his people with extraordinary courage. Their famous duel became one of the most celebrated moments in ancient literature, symbolizing honor, duty, and the terrible cost of war. Yet despite years of fighting, the Greeks still couldn't break Troy's defenses. They needed something stronger than swords. They needed deception. According to the legend, Odysseus created one of the greatest military tricks in history. The Greeks built a gigantic wooden horse, hid selected soldiers inside it, and pretended to sail away. Believing the war was finally over, the Trojans celebrated their victory and pulled the enormous horse inside the city as a trophy. That night, while Troy slept, the hidden Greek soldiers climbed out of the horse, secretly opened the city gates, and signaled the Greek fleet, which had quietly returned under the cover of darkness. Greek warriors poured into the city. Fires spread through the streets. Troy fell before sunrise. Whether the famous Trojan horse truly existed remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Some historians believe it may have been a symbolic story rather than a literal wooden horse. Others suggest it represented a siege machine, a hidden earthquake, or another forgotten military strategy. No one knows for certain, but here's what makes the story even more fascinating. For centuries, many people believed Troy itself was completely fictional. Then, in the 19th century, archaeologists discovered the ruins of an ancient city in modern-day Turkey that matched many descriptions of Troy. Excavations revealed multiple cities built on top of one another over thousands of years. One layer showed signs of destruction dating to roughly the same period that many scholars associate with the legendary war. Does that prove the Trojan War happened exactly as Homer described it? Not quite. Most historians believe the truth probably lies somewhere between myth and history. A real conflict may have taken place, later transformed into an epic story filled with gods, heroes, and legendary battles. Ancient storytellers may have mixed real events with mythology until separating fact from fiction became almost impossible. So what really started the Trojan War? If you believe the legend, it began with a golden apple, 3 rival goddesses, and one impossible choice made by a young prince. If you believe history, it may have been driven by politics, trade, wealth, and control of one of the ancient world's most important cities. Either way, the Trojan War became far more than a battle. It became one of humanity's greatest stories, a tale of pride, love, revenge, courage, and deception that has survived for more than 3,000 years. And perhaps that's why we're still asking the same question today. Where does history end, and where does legend begin?